Greetings and welcome to the Midnight Digest. Awful the work we put ourselves through just to make ends meet. Who among us hasn't worked late feeling ill or missed something important because the boss insisted we be at the office? It's hard enough in this workaday world to carve out some time for oneself, much less for a much darker, more demanding need. While the ego merely wants a day off, the id insists upon it, forcing a young woman's hand in tonight's episode, Dogside.
Mercedes. Hey, Mercedes.
Hey, Sonnia. Do you mind watching the grill for a minute? I really gotta pay.
I just clocked out. Randall will kick my ass if he sees me working. I just wanted to ask if you were still good to cover my shift this weekend.
Huh? Yeah. I work these next 3 days. You work next time off for me?
Yeah, that's just fine.
Your parents are so weird. They're seriously not at all negotiable on what days you can see them?
They're really strict. It's like a Catholic thing. Also, before I go, do you have that stuff I asked about?
Very subtle, sweetheart. It's in my bag in the break room. Double bag.
Thanks. How much do I owe you?
Just an eight? $75?
You're a lifesaver.
Hey, if I had to spend the weekend with my parents, I'd probably need to be stoned out of my gourd. Have a good weekend. And can you please have Randall send someone back to break me?
Sure. Thanks again, Mercedes. My name is Sonnia Velasquez. I'm 22 years old, a community college student, and a team member at Grande. Glamorous, isn't it? I tell myself it's only to pay for my tuition, that this is only temporary, but that doesn't make my shifts any easier. 14 months at this dump haven't made them any easier either. The pay is shit, the food is shit, and the hours are shit. The only saving grace was that up until very recently, I was given some very specific time off. When I'd first applied, I'd made my special needs known upon the application form. Pre-existing medical condition I had vaguely cited, and no questions were asked. That was when I worked for Vera, the last manager. When she ended up getting pregnant and took her maternity leave, Randall took her place. Randall was the type of guy who thought that getting an online business degree made him the Wolf of Wall Street. The kind of guy who used military jargon like foobar and snafu, but would always dodge away when people asked what branch he served in. It's only 3 consecutive days every month, but when I phrase it like that, the Randall likes to make fun of me. He insists I'm on my period. He says he doesn't trust my kind. It makes me think I can feel perigee thrum in my veins. Makes me aware of how the fast food chicken we serve doesn't come apart in my jaws like real muscle. When Randall came in, he started asking questions about my mysterious ailment, and that he would only approve my leave if I brought in a doctor's note. Even if my insurance-free ass could afford a doctor's visit, there's no official diagnosis for what's wrong with me. With that door shut to me, I'm now left to fend for myself. When the requested time-off forms refill, I'm there every month checking and double-checking the dates with my lunar calendar app, and then hope and pray that I can find someone to cover that shift. Thank God for Mercedes. She's newer than I am, but she's always willing to help out, in more ways than one. I grab the bag of sticky that Mercedes has bagged and double-bagged for me, and I replace it with 3 20s and 3 5s. It's a quarter of my paycheck, but nights like these come only once a blue moon. Literally. My ears catch the sounds of Randall approaching, so I shove it into my to-go bag, filled with an armful of wrapped end-of-shift burritos. That ought to be enough to cover the smell. Even with Mercedes' extra precautions, this shit seems potent.
Hey, Sonnia. Are you on the clock?
No, I just clocked out.
Okay. Listen, can you come in 30 minutes earlier tomorrow? HQ says the health inspector's coming, so I want to make sure everything is clean during your shift.
No, Randall, I'm not going to be in tomorrow.
Is it that time of the month already? You know that's your responsibility to find someone to cover your shift. You know what they'd do to you if you went AWOL in the Corps?
Mercedes is covering for me. We traded weekends.
Oh. All right. Well, just make sure you clean down your station before you leave.
Done and done. Also, it's UA.
Huh?
My dad was a Marine. AWOL is an Army term. Marines say UA.
I know. I know that.
Why do burns like that only happen when no one's watching? I run to the schedule clipboard, hanging beside the OSHA regulations, and mark it in. May 11th through 14th, Mercedes. A few months ago, the car I've been driving since high school had some engine trouble, and the cost to repair exceeded both the value of my car and my entire savings. They were, however, willing to take it off my hands for a whopping $500. So I traded in my 1997 sedan for a 10-speed. I prefer this anyway. I like the exercise. Down the street, a building is being demolished, sending the scent of upturned soil into the air. The smell drives me mad. The nearby coastline feels bigger. The ocean smells bigger as the moon turns towards the earth. I want to run, to sprint through the streets on digitigrade with my tongue hanging out, but that's not advisable at the moment. On my bike, I can at least go fast enough to feel the wind in my face, beat my legs hard against the pedals and go, go, go. I ride around my building 3-4 times once I arrive because I hate to go inside. Not now. Not when the sky has just turned a deep blue, the moon all waxing gibbous. When animals and humans make their choice for the night to roost or run wild. I head down the damp stone basement steps. My apartment is in the worst part of town. Not the street nobody likes to walk down, but the one behind that. The one they've forgotten about. My housing requirements are ridiculous for my budget. $400 a month tops, basement preferred, need my own entrance, no roommates. What it's gotten me is a basement in an as-yet ungentrified area with a corner shop toilet and a deep sink. I survive in laundromats, cafes, the gym at the local college. I thank the Mother Earth for student loans. I know a guy from one of my support forums who lives not too far out of town, in a trailer he's parked on some long-dead fruit orchard. He stays in or around his trailer, or runs around in the trees when it gets too bad. Lots of dead wood to break, and no one around for miles. It sounds perfect, but the travel costs to get to work and school would just kill me, and even with my above-average energy, it's a bit too far, even for me. I lock the door behind me, once with a key, and then with the deadbolts. Behind the deadbolts go a baby gate, 3 or 4 shoved into the tension of the door jamb. I jam a few curtain rods in there vertically and screw them into place, followed by trash bags, a tarp, duct tape. Most of this is mental, a psychological deterrent. None of it would really stop me. Not really. As an afterthought, I pull a Sharpie from my pocket and write across the duct tape. Do not go outside. Sometimes it's words that pull me from the frenzy. I pop a Benadryl and stretch out on the mattress with headphones, the double bag of weed beside me. I roll a loose fatty and take a deep drag. Electronic music chirps helpfully at me, wordless and sweet. I hold it in my lungs until it burns, which doesn't take long. Smoking's not really my style most days, but with the Benadryl, a full belly, and some soft music, it can make the transition less painful. I unwrap the first of a half-dozen burritos and scarf it down, shutting my eyes and thinking of cold stillness, darkness, and how to quiet my blood. In my dreams, I am loping in the snow, and loping feels nice. The cold hits me on the bottoms of my feet, the tips of my ears, and my wet pink gums. I am padding to a stop after a long run, and the air comes into my lungs cold, leaves them hot and wet. I see something red dance between the branches. A cardinal bird in a bright hat and coat, and my claws come up off the icy ground, ice cracking as the sprint finds me again. I am low to the ground so that when I leap, I reach out with teeth and claws at this taunt, this toy of mine. I wake with a snarl as something buzzes against my side and I want it dead. Outside, the sun bleeds a slow red death through my blinds. I must have slept the entire day away. Panting, I wipe the froth from my lips and paw at the phone, knocking it to the ground 3 times, before I recognize my own hands, brown and unchanged. There are about a dozen missed calls and a half a dozen voicemails. They're all from Mercedes. I'm about to read one of the countless texts she has sent me when my phone rings again. Hello?
Sonnia, Jesus Christ, I've been trying to call you all day. Have you left yet?
Left? What?
To go see your parents. Are you still in town?
Yes? As I answer, I can feel the bottom of my stomach drop out.
Thank God. Listen, I feel horrible. This is a real emergency. My dad is in the hospital and I can't work tonight.
Are you fucking kidding me? Even over the phone, I can tell this catches her off guard. She expected me to be sympathetic, and perhaps I should have been, but this can't be happening. Not now, not tonight.
Excuse me? Look, I get that this is inconvenient for you, but my dad just had a stroke. He may die. I'm sorry if I've cut your family vacation short.
Whatever, Mercedes. I let out a breath that sounded suspiciously like a hiss and moved towards the door. My gut twists and I catch myself, palms against the sticky wall of duct tape. I'm lying, even with the sweat pricking at the back of my neck that it's the burrito twisting in my guts, even as the muscles in my thighs pull and ache like I'm going through a growth spurt. Not going to work isn't an option. Randall said it 1,000 times. It's not the responsibility of the person covering the shift, it's the person whose name was printed on the sketchbook. That's me. That means it's me that's out of a job if I don't go. That's me who owns 5 burritos in a bag and $22 in my checking account. That's me who already traded my real phone for a pay-as-you-go phone, who lives in a basement with a single light bulb and attends sales seminars that prey on broke college kids for the free pizza and donuts they provide. I want to be understanding of Mercedes, but when I think of her frightened, prey-like eyes and how her scent, hair dye, and menthol cigarettes would be unbearable to me right now. Something red-hot uncoils in the back of my brain, and the human ego that is fighting this off can't do anything about it but squeeze out a few furious tears as I take a quick stock. Benadryl, lighter, burrito. A bottle of overly sweet iced kava tea that advertises its stress-relieving qualities, an iPod. The uniform's black polo goes over my t-shirt, and the wet rice and processed cheese scent coming off of it makes me want to vomit. My stubby human nail claw the duct tape, ripping it from the door, right past my earlier warning. The remaining letters dangle and spell out Dogside. Dogside. It's not funny. The gates and the bars come down far easier than the deadbolts. Twisting a lock is agony right now. The dry skin on my knuckles feels like it might burst. Outdoors, the cool air both soothes and stokes the fire in my middle. There are sounds coming from deep in my chest, sounds I wouldn't even know how to make on a normal day. I have to try and ride my bike. When I let myself run, I feel the telltale pins and needles starting under my skin, the beef jerky feeling of my muscles stretching to burst, the growing pains in my bones. I can't run without changing. Running will make my body too wild. Effort will make a monster. The other option is to ride, so I climb on my bicycle and I want to sob at how my feet feel wrong in their human shape, in shoes, on bike pedals. In my heart, I am a beast balancing on a circus bike. I kick the pedals once, twice. I go. Taco Grande lights up on the horizon between a gas station and the highway exit. The cars are damaging my fragile control, and the lights come at me head on. They don't want to get out of their lane because it looks like a tweaker on a bike, but I'm seeing a challenge. Beady, bright eyes and a growl in the metal monster's chest. And when I open my mouth to breathe, fat, frothy gobs of drool land on my jeans. The car swerves and whines at me. I howl back.
You look like shit. Well, at least you're in uniform. Get back here.
A few patrons stare at me from over plastic trays and yellow fever blast sodas. I can't turn to look at them and walk, not with my body feeling like a puppet, like a coat I've overgrown. When I try, my arm sweeps over a counter and knocks over a display of Grande-sized cups that bounce with the sound of hailstones on a tin roof. I freeze, baring my teeth. A child with a sopapilla in his hand bares his teeth back at me. It's a challenge.
Who are you smiling at? Are you smiling at the silly lady? Is she making faces at you?
Hello? Earth to Sonnia. Do you copy? Get back here. What's the matter with you?
I thought Mercedes was going to cover me tonight. I took a cold medicine. I'm not feeling too well. I hope that seeing me like this would prompt him to send me home, but I've never been particularly lucky. Instead, he just looks me over with a scowl and inhales wetly through his nose.
Go grab a headset and take drive-thru orders. I don't want you in front of customers looking like that.
My hands feel like mittens as I press them along the concrete walls, finding my way to the freezer. Blood blisters are pooling at my fingertips where the dog's claws try to push their way out. The freezer is quiet, and the cold will feel nice. It will stop the sweat that soaks through my undershirt and slides down the back of my pants. I can restock the cheese, meat, sour cream. I can take my time for just a moment. I can't lose my job tonight. I won't. I'm here.
Check that out. Sonia's here on her day off.
Oh my god, she's so dramatic.
I'm several feet away, but I can still hear them. I can hear everything, smell everything. Yet I push past it and grab a headset off the wall. I haven't even put it over my ears before the frequencies I don't normally hear cause me to wince and make the pounding in my head even worse. Welcome to Taco Grande. Would you like to sample our new Muy Caliente burrito?
No thank you. I'm just going to have, let's see, a number 1, grande sized, an order of the nacho average nachos, and a diet soda?
A number 1, grande sized, with an order of nacho average nachos with a diet. Will that complete your order, sir?
Actually, can I get refried beans and black beans on the nacho average nachos?
Yes, sir, that's just fine.
Oh, also the diet soda should also be grande sized. Did you just snarl at me?
Drive around for your total. I enter the code, not even bothering to double check it. Most likely the guy will be a mile down the road before he figures out I skimped him on the refried beans, and probably too lazy to turn back around. I open the windows and allow the breeze to kiss my flesh. My forehead is bleeding sweat and my polo shirt is already damp. It's so hot I have to cool off. Here you are, sir. That will be $12.39. He hands me a wrinkled 20 and I hand out his overly generous change. Pennies are too delicate for me right now, and if Randall wants to get pissy about an extra 11 cents, he's free to dock it from my pay. He eyes me cautiously and can't be too quick to speed off after I hand him his food. Caught in the reflection of his rearview mirror, the moon stares at me like a giant, eager eye. I fling the freezer door open and drop the headset on the floor. My back burns as something forces itself from under my skin like wet pine needles. I pull the door shut behind me and hate the safety latch there beside the handle. I'd love nothing more than to claim I was trapped. This place couldn't hold me in. And for some reason, I think it might be best just to let the kettle steam, to let the dog out for just a moment. And that's all it really takes. My body is already in overdrive trying to warm me up as the entropy takes effect and I lose my heat in the room's icy air. I can feel my stomach beginning to eat itself as the beast growls for sustenance. Food. All I need is some food and I can make it through this. My hands, cold and bleeding and clawed, grasp a chunk of frozen ground beef wrapped in wax paper, without care or concern, and bring it to my mouth. It's a solid block of icy meat with its splinters under my strength. I think it was red, but colors aren't so easy anymore. Sounds are good. I can hear every penny in the cash register. I can see brilliantly in the dark of the freezer room, but colors are gone to me now. It's okay. I'll just eat and I'll change back. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet about my clothes, but I stop thinking about it when the door opens and the sudden light is blinding.
Holy shit, what the fuck is going on in here?
Randall. I can barely manage a groan as I feel my eyes center upon him. My mouth is frozen with drool and blood and frozen ground beef.
Jesus Christ, Sonia, you're on drugs!
No!
Well, he's not wrong, but that's hardly the problem at hand. I try to reach out and tell him to run. I may hate the guy, but I don't want him dead. At least the human part of me doesn't. But it doesn't matter. The sound of my attempted shout is drowned out by cracking bone and the squeak of stretching flesh. My pathetic whine becomes a bassy growl as my chest triples in size. My pine needle feeling returns as thousands of long, waxy hairs push through my flesh. The itching in my gums is unbearable. It quickly turns to pain as blood mixes with the frothing drool on my lips. Randall's too afraid to move. He stands there like a feeder mouse in a pit bull's cage. He stains his khakis with piss as he realizes his one chance for escape has eluded him. His eyes go so wide I can see my own teeth reflected in them. The Taco Grande regulation visor falls to the ground as his long hair ends up in my mouth. I bite down and yank my head to one side, part of the scalp coming away like the chunk of hair. I place my paws on the ground and push off with my back feet. Power is intoxicating. I'm knocking bodies down like duck pins and moving forward like a muscle car as something absurd creeps into my brain. I don't need this job. I can stay like this. I am a hunter. I am a killer. He cries for hours, whimpers all the way as I carry him in my jaws out past the edge of town. I can't take the highway exits, but the back roads by the marina are a better run anyway. Randall dies in my jaws somewhere near the closest campground, which makes him easier to handle. The mountains from here are purple and blue against the sky, and even my ears can hardly hear the cars on the highway anymore. I'm fired. I'm so very fired, but I am free.
Full Bleed Audio Dramas presents The Midnight Digest, Episode 1, Dogside. Written by Teeny Howard. Starring Jordan Mullaney as Sonnia Velasquez, Phil Antonino as Randall, and Holly Cole as Mercedes. Music provided by Raimi. This has been a Full Bleed Audio Dramas production.